Oh, he's going to do the rights thing again? Yeah, I'm going to do the rights thing again. It needs to be repeated. The reason I focus on this so much is because I truly believe that this notion that we have a bunch of privileges and that's the basis of our society is one of the horrific causes of the absolute show that we're in today. I mean, can you imagine raising a family and the foundational principle for your children, who are the citizens of your society, of your state, called the family being the smallest government. The principle that you raise your children with is privileges, that they're allowed things, that they're entitled things, that their very existence is based solely, almost wholly, on what they deserve. I have a right to my room. I have a right to my toys. I have a right to Nintendo. I have a right to Sega Genesis. Shout out to Sega Genesis. I have a right to my dinner. I have a right to this. I have a right to that. I have a right to my friends. I have a right to free association with people. No, you don't. And we're wondering why we look out into the world right now and we see a bunch of petulant children freaking out and throwing tantrums similar to one you would see with your own child when they don't get what they want. How would you expect a society of children to not throw a tantrum if you raise them on the principle that they deserve things? It's much deeper than what is a right. It's much deeper than whether or not rights actually exist or have any ontology. That's also relevant. But I'm looking at more so the consequence of this view from a philosophical lens. If you look at children and you look at society as an extension of the family, also a type of child, the state, in conjunction with the church being the father. And you're like, what's going on? I don't understand it. Why is everyone freaking out? Why is everyone going in so many different directions as far as culture and their behaviors and what they like and what they want to do and what their cravings are and what they're fixated on? Why is everyone so fractured? Why is everything so fractured? Well, if you give everyone their baseline, right, their clean slate, their blank canvas is simply do whatever you want, why are you confused about what it produces? You shouldn't be confused at all. So no, it was a lie. I'm sorry. It was a lie. It was a noble lie. It sounded good. Oh, you have rights. Does that make sense? That makes sense. You have rights. You have a right and you have a right. It's like Oprah. Look under your chairs. Everyone has a right. Well, it's not even actually true, even if you thought it was true. In theory, in your head, it could be true, but it's not actually true. Like, you have a right to own a gun, but that could be taken. You don't have a right to own every gun. You have the right to own a type of gun, a collection of types of guns, but you don't have the right to own anything that you would call a gun. You have a right to move around? Well, within the constraints of how you're allowed to move around. Honestly, you don't have the right for freedom of movement in general. You don't have the right to move through someone else's property. Do you have the right to take over the government? Who has the right to take the authoritative positions on determining what a right is? Who has that right? Do you have the right to not contribute to anything in society? Do you have the right to do that? Do you have the right to abandon your children? Do you have the right to abandon your children? Like, apparently in our society, you do have the right to do that. Like, why are we confused? I mean, I think about that one, abandoning your child, right? We look at certain cultures, certain groups of people who maybe have a proclivity to doing that more so than others. And we go, okay, well, they left it, and that's horrible. Oh, what a terrible thing. You know. How is that legal? Speaking of rights, how is it legal to leave your family in a society? Well, he has the right to do that. What? You have the right to terminate your children. Excuse me? So no matter how you look at it, the only thing you're actually referring to when we say we have a right, you have a right, is you have an allowance. But the allowance supposes that someone's giving it to you. And people try to say, well, no, some of us went through this stage, including myself, back in like 2016. Maybe you're going through a libertarian phase. You're making fun of the lefties for saying that the rights come from the government. You stupid lefty. Dude, rights come from God, not the government. And how silly of me to have thought that. The lefty was actually correct in this one instance, that the rights are a set of privileges and allowances and a set of behaviors you're allowed to do and a set of constraints, basically prohibited behavior. And they get to determine that, right? They determine what you can and can't do. And I don't know why you just call them rights. I mean, this sort of language that's sort of grafted into the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, that you have the right to pursue happiness, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. I mean, what a mistake that was. Oof. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. You have the right to pursue whatever makes you happy. That's not even true. There's tons of things in even American history alone, let alone the history of humanity, where people pursuing what makes them happy is demonstrably abhorrent many times. But it makes them happy to chop their ween off. It makes them happy. Everything makes them happy. What happened there? Like, how is it that we made a country based on the notion, very, very naive, immature notion of soothing us like we're babies, make us happy. Oh, we have a society of babies who have what's that problem babies have? They have like bad stomach pains or whatever. We got to soothe the babies. You know what? Rights are like a pacifier. Oh, well, we make sure to make them happy. We got to make them happy before they throw a tantrum. Unbelievable. And what do we get? One of the criticisms of our nation, of our men especially, is that we're all soft, that we're all like pacifists, that we're all passively droning around. Oh, look at that! There's another city taken by Islam. Look at that. Well, I'd do something, but we're in America, and they have the right to pursue life, liberty, and the pursuit of their happiness, and they also have the freedom to close off entire cities and worship Baal in public. They have the right to do it. I'm sorry. If you don't like it, don't live in the country that you exist in. I mean, what? They have the right. And you know what? Once the Muslims clear the streets, what we have coming in is a bunch of gay dudes teaching kids homosexuality, wearing dildos on their faces. This is a part of the American dream. Colic, yeah. Where we are a nation, we are a colicky baby. Oh, watch out, they're going to get upset. which is funny. Like the revolution, this notion that you're being oppressed and you're going to fight against the British and you're going to fight against this and that because they're going to keep you down. And it's the only justified angle of defense is that if your faith in Christianity is being violated and oppressed and kept down, or like in Africa, like thousands of people right now, Christians being murdered, slaughtered, hunted down like wild pigs. But you fight because it's your virtue. It's your virtue to practice. Your purpose in life is to participate in a Eucharistic sacrament-based faith. And so, but swapping that with just pure liberty, well, I'm going to fight for my liberty. Your liberty to do what? I don't know, maintain liberty, just kind of status quo liberty. Is that good? Status quo liberty? I have the right to remain stagnant. You have the right to remain stagnant. You have the right to remain passive. You have the right to sit by as your country gets taken over by foul, disgusting, upside-down ideology and religions. You have the right to do that. No obligation, by the way. And this is the key point. Nowhere in the set of rights are you obligated to do anything other than respect other people's right to their pursuits. Oh, you got to respect their rights to their pursuits. I mean, that's the American dream. No obligation, though. Zero. There's not a single right that comes with an obligation, and yet there's this assumption that we have an obligation to protect every individual's notion of happiness and their pursuit thereof. Why? Who the hell came up with this? You have the right to defend your family. Well, even that, Aquarius rising, you have the obligation to. Insofar as the right, a right is a legal term. Only after the fact you do things do they determine whether or not you were in fact in the right or had the right to do that. That's always determined after the fact. So rights are like this post hoc assessment of a certain event. Someone breaks in, you shoot them dead. In a legal society, in an ordered society, it's determined by a judge or by even an unelected symposium of aristocrats in Jortlandia. By the way, get your memberships. They determine, no, he was right. He was right. But guess what? If they determine you weren't in the right, suddenly you didn't have the right to defend your family because they put you in jail for it, which is something that's happening, by the way. This is what happens when you structure a society based on rights and not by obligation. Notice socially what happens when you structure a society by rights, privileges, entitlements, allowances, versus obligations. All of your moral fabric decays. It's non-existent. Why? Because instead of going out in the world and going, no, you're not fulfilling your obligation, or I have an obligation to stop indecency out in public. I have an obligation to the nation and to our family and to the church. That's not the context for our existence. The context is, no, you have a right to do that, and I have an obligation to protect your right, even though your behavior is deteriorating the very fabric of society as we speak. It's such a counterintuitive position, and I often wonder if it was crafted that way. Maybe not, because the founding fathers probably couldn't imagine the type of degeneracy and lunacy and idiocy that we see today. They couldn't imagine the things people would come up with. Can you imagine introducing the founding fathers to a furry? Can you imagine taking them to San Francisco and walking down the street with them and watching human beings walk each other with masks and collars and dogs and leashes as dogs? That's the thing. Like, once you give people a set of just privileges, and they get to will act on their will toward what they like and what they want based on their preferences, based on worldliness, based on their fleshly desires, and that is their expression in society. Once you do that, how is it possible that it won't lead to degeneracy? You can't use obligation against them. You can't use moral principles against them. How are you supposed to do that? You can't. You can't do it. Because the dialectic is what I deserve and what I'm entitled to do in my expression. And I'm free. This is a free society, huh? It's free. I can do it. I have the freedom to destroy the society internally. From social cancers, with social cancers, degeneracy, decay, acts away from God. I have the right to do that. This is why it's such a critical thing. Like, you can point at the left in degeneracy, but you have to look at the right side that defends it through this lens of rights. That's the defense, by the way. The defense of degradation in society is first and foremost the defense of rights. That they're completely related, correlatively and causally. The defense of rights, this notion of any expression, entails any expression. Sorry, there's no way around it. And the funny part is, the entirety of the position, the context, human right, is non-existent. It's a non-existent fiction that can, all you're really doing is using a fancy word, right? It's a very poetic word, right? Poetic word to describe what you're allowed to do and what you're not allowed to do. Well, that's determined by an authority, right? And so notice how rights don't include who has the right to determine themselves the authority. It's not included in the term. And so you ask, who does? Well, we live in a constitutional republic, and it's a democratic process through the elected representatives. Okay, do we have a right to change that? No, we got to assume rights, and then it needs to be tied to something that you can't change dogmatically. It's an endless loop, right? It's a total loop. So if you appeal to rights, you negate your own right to change the entire concept of what it is. You're not allowed to do that. I always tell the atheist, they always say, you could believe whatever you want, Jimbob. I have no problem with people being Christian. But I do have a problem when you take your beliefs and you force it on other people. And I go, you mean like rights? Well, no, that's different, Jim. What do you mean it's different? You believe in rights. You believe in this system. You believe in something that's non-existent. You can't hold, touch, taste, smell, move. I don't believe in rights. I believe in obligations and duties. I believe you can craft a society based on obligations and duties and still use force and law in conjunction with the assumed sets of duties that you have. Well, it's different, Jimbob. I believe in rights, but I mean... Well, you're forcing that on me, sir. So why can't I just swap rights with sin? Is sin not a set of behaviors that you're expected not to do and what you're expected to do? Yeah. Isn't that the same as a right? A set of behaviors you're assumed to not do and what you can do based on law, based on someone coming in with a gun and saying, you violated this. You violated something. And that's the whole project of the Constitution and rights itself. It merely makes a legal, worldly account inversion of sin, of the law of God. The law isn't reflective of the law of God. It's merely a sort of a subdued, softened, liberal version where they tweaked the language. They've done away with the set of duties from a Christian lens of what a man and a woman bring to their family and to society. And everything is downstream from that, moving away from that. Everything. Look at feminism. Feminism is still a symptom. Now, feminism can be seen as some worldview that in practice causes another set of symptoms, but if you really think about it chronologically, from a philosophical lens, the departure from God, Christianity specifically, being the informer of our law and how we operate in the world, the departure from Christianity has to be substituted. You have to substitute it with something. And so to me, it's very clear there was a little bait and switch, right? What's that meme with like Indiana Jones where he takes the ball and he swaps it? Took the biblical law, duties, a duty-based world where we all expect as men to fulfill duties. Otherwise, there's not only legal penalties potentially, but social. We know the power of social penalties. Social pressure, ostracization, shame tactics, exile, excommunication. Beautiful, beautiful. Indiana Jones, who's one of the, pick any founding father, maybe he is the representation of the entirety of the philosophy, swaps duties with privileges. What? Oh man, what a trick. What a trick played. Unbelievable. What a trick played. And people fell for it. Why? Because they were like, well, yeah, no. I am much more, my proclivities lean toward doing what I want as opposed to what I ought to do, what I'm obligated to. Do what I want. I'm going to go toward what I want. You know what I mean? Let's do what I want. Everybody do what you want, just so long as you don't violate what other people want to do. Well, how convenient is that? No, you can do everything you want as long as it doesn't violate what other people want to do. I mean, when we look at the collapse of the West, you can list endless variables, by the way. Honestly, you probably can't reduce it to even a set of 5, but inside those variables, clearly, this is, to me, one of the key ones, is that you just this baseline notion you're born into. We were all born into it. Most of us between 25, 45 maybe. Even our parents born into it. Even their parents born into it. Do what you will. Satanic. Do what you will. As long as it doesn't violate my stuff, don't take my stuff. Hey, well, he's not hurting anybody. Hey, look, it's a explicitly penile building that has every feature standing right in public next to a school. Well, it's not hurting anyone. It's not hurting anyone. So, what's the problem? Okay. And so, no, you don't have rights, and we're seeing that you actually don't have rights. You have an open. We have basically a Montessori school of a government. We have a Montessori school of a society where it's children-led. That's what you get. You guys ever, see one of these schools? My kids went to a small one early on, which at a very early age, looking at what they are geared toward, whether it's art or engineering or math or something, sometimes you let them free and just let them see where they go. But there's obviously a limit to that, and you have to set a limit to that. You have to set boundaries. You have to come in and say, no, it's actually not you leading this. right? We're giving you like a little window. But in our society, a liberal society, a rights-based society, it's basically a Montessori school where the kids never grow up. They become bigger, they become hairy, but it's child-led. That's what a rights-based society is. It's child-led. Child-led parenting. That's what it is. It's child-led parenting. And we think, at the micro level, this kind of notion of, I'm going to let the child lead the way. We think that's the thing causing, which it has a cause, right? When you have these parents, liberal, soft parents who have no standard for authority. They have no standard for hierarchy. They reject patriarchy. They reject church. They reject God. They reject everything. But they allow their kids to lead through what they want. Well, that's reflective of the society we're in. People think it's causal. Well, it's like a cycle. Yes, there's an effect when you have a huge portion of society who are parents who let their kids run the show, but they're already in a society when, figuratively, the children, the citizens, are leading. They're like, what I want is lead. I want this. I'm going to go over here and I want this, and I want this now, and I want to do this parade. And I want to wear this clothing in public, and I want to do this, and I want. And there's no parent. Otherwise, that's statism. If you bring the parent in, suddenly it's statism or authoritarianism or fascism. We don't want any parents around. Imagine your kids are playing. They have friends over, and they're in a room, and they're getting loud and crazy, and they're breaking some stuff, or they're saying things they shouldn't say, or they're drawing things they shouldn't draw, and the parent comes upstairs, and the moment the parent opens the door, because it was locked, comes in, commands the room, and they start waving signs and shooting people. They start screaming and crying in the street, fascism, fascism. That's exactly what it is. It's lawlessness. The law, if written based on your preferences, based on what you deserve, the law written on based on things you get in the world, allowances. Parents don't write the law of the house based on what the kids want or deserve. Not even at all. In fact, what they get, the concept of even deserving anything is not even there most of the time with parenting. And I think this is the major downfall of the West, is that obviously it's all downstream from rejecting God. And if you reject God, you reject his church, his body. And if you reject his body, you don't have a proper context for a family. And if you don't have a proper context for a family, you don't have a proper context for a society that's built on generations of families. It's pretty simple. Pretty simple. So what is it in a vacuum where the church is non-existent in the West and the family has no context for raising their children, leading the family? What is it? What is it led by? Well, it's led by the kids. It's kids raising kids. That's what it is. Children raising children. And what's so frustrating is that the people who are predominantly the ones who we look to and they're like, oh, those are right-leaning people. Those are the conservatives. These are the people that ultimately defend this system. And then they scapegoat the left, the children, the wacky children. It's like a parent blaming their child for coming up and being insanely behaved, right? And then being like, I don't get it. I just don't get it. Why are they so wacky, you guys? Hey, let's make fun of liberals. They're so wacky. They're so misbehaved. They're so childlike. This is pathetic. And you go, How about some parenting? And they go, no, 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 I can't do that. It's a violation of the first, it's a violation of the First Amendment. No, it's a violation of the Constitution, You ask Ben Shapiro. He would agree. Hey, Ben, how about these leftists? Aren't they just like petulant children, spoiled, petulant children? Aren't they just the epitome of an unguided, lawless, neotenized group of child beasts? Absolutely, absolutely. Definitely, Jimbob. You're definitely right on that one. Never heard it put it that way. That's great. So should we come in and parent them? No, that would be a violation of everything that the founding fathers had in mind for us. We have to just kind of let them destroy the nation from within, because gosh darn it, they have the right to do it. That's what it is. Okay, you're a failure. That's the thing. That's what we're dealing with. That's why the thing in the way is ultimately on your own, quote, side. That's the thing in the way. The thing in the way is the people who are like, well, no, we have to maintain conservative principles, and conservative principles is the conservation of the cancers that erode your body. It's like the analogy is if you have a cancer or a disease in your body, and the notion is there's a way to move it out of your body, cut it out of your body, or there's a way to mitigate it through some sort of topical procedure. Either or are out of the question so long as they violate the Constitution. And the Constitution is like it's like a system that doesn't allow wounds to heal. It's like a system that doesn't allow the surgeon to operate. It's counterintuitive, the whole thing. And they argue, well, let's do it the right way. Let's do it the way they imagine, where you vote. And then there's this endless pendulum of people who are in power that you disagree with their metaethical positions and their policies. And then it swings back the other way. And then you have the ball. You have the ball. It's like a basketball game where you just keep trading possession of the ball, and the ball is the state. But you never have enough time to actually make a difference with the ball, because you have to shoot your little layups and see if you get a three-pointer, but then they have the ball. You score 1 point and then they have the ball. You're like, why isn't this working? How is it we can't fix our society? How is it that we cannot change the direction of this ship that's sinking? Why? Because it's the rules that you get 15 minutes at the helm of the wheel and try to turn the boat around. And guess what? It's only fair if they get voted in that your opposition takes the wheel. If it was a car on the road, it would look like a drunk driver. We'd get pulled over. If our society was a car on the road. Well, it's your turn. I mean, it's only fair that you get to turn the ship into complete disaster and face us toward hell. It's only fair. I don't agree with it. I don't agree with them taking hold of the ship and facing it toward hell. But I will defend their right to turn us in that direction, toward hell. It's their right, Jimbob. I'm sorry. Well, you don't have... The sooner people understand that rights are a fiction, the sooner people understand that all we're really ever talking about is who's at the helm and who deserves to be at the helm and who's going to self-declare themselves, as a body, as a unit, to say, no, we're taking this ship. And honestly, in history, that was just called justified war. That, like in history, even the crafting, even putting the flag down against the British and saying, no, this is what we're doing, is a type of warfare. It's saying, we have guns, we're doing this, and if you don't like it, let's fight a war. That's it. It's the same thing as self-defense, by the way. Here's my house. If you violate it, I'm fighting back. You just expand that to a nation. The question is, whose house is it? What is the house? We don't have a house. People say, what's that phrase? A house divided is definitely going to fall or whatever. America doesn't even have a house. There's not even a house. There's just a multiplicity of rooms. It's like those villages of tiny rooms. You're like, what connects them all? Nothing. Consumerism. That's the only thing that connects anything. When you have a rights-based society where everyone gets to pursue their happiness, is it an accident that a capitalist system caters to people's wants and desires? And what do you get? A world of pure consumerism. That's the unifying principle. A rights-based society necessarily individuates everybody because it's the pursuit of your personal, individual happiness. That's what it resorts to. Well, if you atomize a bunch of people and they're all allowed to pursue their self-interest and their wants and desires like Ayn Rand wanted them to, the only thing that's unifying for people is they're unified in their individualization of their own pursuits. Well, of course, that's going to allow for and catalyze a system of pure materialism. It makes total sense. I want this. Oh, you want that? Well, there's someone's providing that over there. You can go get it. Oh, I want this and I like this. I really like this. Oh, I have a fetish. Can someone give it to me? Yeah, totally. We're in a free society. You can get whatever you want. Supply and demand, bro. And I'm not surprised, are you? Is anyone in the chat surprised that if you pair liberalism and the pursuit of happiness, this kind of notion that you have a right to do this? Okay, you have a right to do this. Great. Do you have a right to do it? Yeah, I have a right to pursue all of it. Yeah, okay, cool. So what's our identity then? What is our identity? Well, our identity is a group of unrelated particular people with unrelated particular interests and wants and desires. And maybe you get a cluster of people who share the same wants and desires, but ultimately it's splintered. And our society and our culture, the foundation of our nation, is based solely on the individual first and foremost. That's what it's based on. Right? That's what it's based on. Well, what do you expect? There's no house to defend. It's just unrelated, particular little huts that are connected through what? Amazon Prime. That's the connective tissue. The connective tissue isn't the body of Christ. The connective tissue is Amazon Prime. The connective tissue is what? What is it? Our language? That's not even connective. I mean, we have a splintered language in our culture. Is it a shared sense of decency in public and how we talk and how we act? No, that's splintered too. Okay, that's not it. Is it our shared belief in God? Nope. Dearborn, Michigan. Look at Dearborn, Michigan, and more states that are getting taken by Islam. And we watch and we go, oh, they have the freedom to do that. They have the freedom to terrestrially take over all of America as long as it's done legally. That's what the founding fathers wanted. They wanted the ability for Islam to legally take over all of the United States. Well, I don't want to violate that. I mean, I'd rather see the United States fall to Islam than violate Islam's right to take over the United States. You know what I mean? That's what the founding daddies would want. Unbelievable. I'm not confused at all. I'm not bewildered. I'm not looking out there in the world and going, what happened, guys? I'm not. Are you? Is anyone else? Is anyone else confused? I'm not confused. I'm not confused. It's very clear what happened. And essentially, it's much deeper than rights. The conversation of what's right, can you violate a right, who gives you rights. You know, the government gives you rights. Rights aren't God-given. Your duties are God-given. Rights are fiction, legal fiction. And if you are trapped in a loop where you can't fulfill your duties as a Christian to your family and to society because otherwise it violates, quote, rights, you already lost. You're only partially living a Christian life. That's why they love to say, even conservatives, they go, oh, well, you know, the beauty of America is that you can be Christian and fine, be Christian in your home, be Christian, you know, in your life, but it stops when it comes to the rest of the society. No, why? What are you talking about? Why? What kind of Christian is that? A Christian in private? A Christian who holds his convictions true and rigid until he, is elected into a position of power in government? By the way, you're going to swear yourself into office on the Bible, but you're also going to swear to not actually inform policy by the Bible. Does that make sense? Can we do that? Okay, right hand on the Bible. Lift your hand. Swear into office. Swear your oath. I swear here before God and the nation that I will not use my theology in my job. Wait, my hand's on the Bible, right? Yes, your hand's on the Bible. I mean, it's so stupid. I mean, it's like a joke. It's like some sort of humiliation ritual. They convince people who call themselves Christians to live their life Christian, except in their life, except everywhere in their life. You get to live a Christian life, but not everywhere. But other people can. Other people, the Muslims, can live their life Muslim and everywhere, but just not Christians. Because that would be against the Founding Fathers' conception of the United States. There is no separation of the church and state. There never was. There is no separation from what you believe and your theology and what you vote for. There never was. And it doesn't help you to defend it. It doesn't help you. All these soft-ass Christians, right? They love liberty above their own duties. They love other people's liberties above their own Christian duties. They think God gave us rights. If God gave you rights, then God gave people the privilege of destroying a nation from inside itself, from sin, with sin. Yeah, he gave us free will. That's the best you can do. If you're going to say God gave us rights, the best you can do is try to make synonymous free will and rights, but it still doesn't make sense in practice. So you get these people who keep saying this term. They keep saying God gave us the rights. God gave us the rights. And you're like, okay, so then God gave all these other people the right to destroy a nation. Yeah, totally. There's a God-given right to completely destroy a nation. It's their God-given right to vote for abortion. That doesn't make sense. And honestly, it's always going to be right-leaning people that push back on this, ultimately. And that's why I said, if there was a civil war, it wouldn't be between right and blue-haired leftists. It's going to be between the right, a dissonant right, which is the minority of the right wing at this point. Maybe that's going to change, but at this point, seemingly the minority of right wing is the dissonant right wing. Them against people, rest in peace, like Charlie Kirk, like the Tapusa people, the rest of them, like PragerU, like Ben Shapiro. Who's that one Freedom Cartoons guy? that guy. That's what it comes down to. It's a fight against them. They're the ones who are going to defend liberalism, ironically. When it comes down to push and shove, you know what that means. It's going to be between people who call themselves right-leaning people. You can't do that. Guys, stop. You can't do that. And you're like, they're doing it. The secularists are doing it, right? Secularism is a type of religion that runs our society and runs our government and runs our academia and runs our public school system, runs Hollywood, runs world affairs, runs the judge system, runs the prison system, runs everything. Yeah, but it's different. I mean, they're not using their religion. Yes, they are. Of course they are. Well, that's what they do. We're not going to do that. Okay, you're going to lose. You're losing. Yeah, but I win inside. I win inside. We don't win. We don't maintain our nation. We don't maintain it, but we win on the inside. That's like letting the church fall, like willfully letting the church fall to Satan and being like, but on the inside, I'm winning. So, that's what you're dealing with. Stop looking away. Stop pretending it's left and right only. It's not. Stop doing that. Don't lie to yourself. You can't argue against liberalism because, you're like, I don't like that brand. Oh, the blue-haired liberals, I don't like them. They're the wacky ones. We're the real ones. We got the real-based gay guys. We got the real-based troons. We have Jeffree Star on our team. Okay. We have Dave Rubin. He's the based gay guy who buys children off the internet. We got those. Those are small government degenerates. You see, there's the liberal degenerates, the big government degenerates, and then the small government degenerates, and by golly, I'm going to defend Dave Rubin and Dave buying their kids. You know what? Do you know how much shame there should be for a woman to rent her womb out to homosexuals? But that's a right, guys. You guys, that's a right. You're going to defend it. It's a right. They have a right to do it. Well, we don't take away their rights. I disagree with it. Oh, do you disagree with murder? Yeah. Should we keep murder illegal? Yeah. That's something I disagree with, and I'm willing to use force. Okay, cool. How about abortion? Yep, definitely. How about a woman renting their womb to two gay guys? Nope. No, Jimbob. That's where I crossed the line. Way too far. That's where, I'm sorry, if your hill is this concept of rights, you're toast. You're done. It's over. It was always over. It was always over. If your hill is liberty, the hill of liberty and rights, your hill is already eaten from the inside by ants. You're just standing on the hardest part and thinking it's still there. It's not. It's over.